What's up, family? My name is ElijahAmmi, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a grown folk channel. This is where we have heart-to-heart conversations and keep it real. Here on this channel, everybody matters. Everybody's family. Here on this channel, we express love because at our core, we are love. I love you guys, and thank you for being with me on this beautiful journey called life. Peace. What's up, family? Man, today I have a special guest. I have Bronze Jfkay on, and man, this brother come from another country and he's here in America, and I just want him to share part of his story and just some of the things that he's experienced in his travels and his experience here in America. Bronze, what's up with you, brother?
And I'm doing all right. How about you, sir?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. Hey, so where are you originally from?
Okay, I'm from Nigeria.
Wow.
Yeah. And I could break that down further and say that I'm from the southern parts of Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have the east, the west, the north, and the south.
Okay.
So I'm from southern Nigeria, and Nigeria is in west of Africa, so West Africa.
Okay.
And just like we also have the West Africa, the South, and all of the aspects.
Yeah.
So Nigeria is in West Africa, and I'm from the southern parts of Nigeria. And I was born and raised in Nigeria, and I had the opportunity to learn more about outside of my environment. So ever since I had the opportunity to learn what's out there, I had the urge to see what's out there. I wanted to see what it's like outside of my environment. Right from when I was a child, I was just different when it comes to my ability to learn. I always wanted to study as much as I could. Whatever book that I came across, I tried to learn from it. I tried to study all the time when I was a child. So all of the uh, the urge to see what the world is like came from a very long time ago. And in Nigeria, America gets sold out to us a lot. So everybody, coming up in my generation, everybody wanted to see what America was like.
Okay.
But as for me, actually, I would say that I started to think that this is going to be a part of my journey when I had the opportunity to start learning, particularly about Black people in America. I could connect with the music a lot more than anybody else that I knew, and I could connect with just the arts that came from this part of the world. And I think part of that was because I felt like there was a connection. I had a deeper connection to the land. I felt like I had a deeper connection to the people, and I was willing to get to the roots of it. So I would say when the internet became a thing in Nigeria, I would have been a teenager at this time. So when the internet came, I remember we started to study about computers, but we never got to see what a computer looked like. So it took about a whole year or two of studying about computers before they finally made the big announcement and say, hey, this Friday we're bringing a computer to the school, just one computer for all of us. so, so, so we were very. I remember how excited I was. That was going to be our first time to really stand in front of a computer, and everybody couldn't even operate it. It was just the teacher saying, go ahead and move the mouse and see how that works. And so that was just the beginning of everything, because before computers came, we only could read books. I mean, we could watch TV, but a TV was a luxury, in my generation. So, but when computers came and then the internet came, then came something called the cyber cafes. That's where we had the opportunity to go use the internet. We didn't have that luxury to just have a personal computer connected to the internet. So when I started to visit cyber cafes, I guess that was just a time where there was just this huge revolution in my country, because everybody had that opportunity now to go to do their research and all of that. So I guess that's when things started to really change. And that's when I started to believe that I could actually see other parts of the world. Because then there was the very popular thing then was Yahoo Messenger. Everybody got on Yahoo Messenger and tried to find people outside of the country. It was fun to just talk to people, get to know people. At the time, I read a book by a writer by the name of Oral Roberts. And so I realized they had a university, he had a email at the end of the book. So I wrote them on that email saying, hey, I'm interested in studying in your university. Let me know what it would take. And that was like my introduction, my formal introduction, because then I started to communicate with people outside of my country and I saw the huge difference. But you see, that wasn't enough because it wasn't up until when I came here, that's when I realized, okay, it's a different kind of thing when you're just chatting back and forth with people. You have to really see what it's like. And you see, my first encounter in America was with what was with a Nigerian family. That was my uncle. And when before I even came here, he was aware that I had plans to be here. And I told him, I said, hey, I know a lot of people that I've met on forums, on platforms, and just friends that I have, like pen pals. And these people are encouraging me that when you come to the United States, come straight to me. And so I told my uncle, I said, there are a lot of people who are saying that you can come over to Austin, you can come to Cali. And he was like, no, 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 don't do that because you don't know all of these people. But the only person that I know that you know is me. So he was saying he's known me well enough and he thinks that I'll be safer where he's at. So I said, fine. And so I ended up in his house. I became a part of the family. He already had a family of his own, but I just became a part of the family. I was welcome. But somewhere down the line, I started to realize that there's something whereby a person has been in an environment for so long and they've been through so much. It's like they're willing to do almost anything not to be in that situation anymore. So I started to realize that was what I was going through. We weren't such, like we didn't have that bond anymore because it's like uh, uh, the struggle was more important than anything else, than the bond that we had. So I guess that the bond was betrayed because we had issues concerning how I didn't even know a lot that I could do for myself. I thought for almost everything that I need to do, someone has to do it for me. Like, oh, I want to open a bank account, I'm not able to do that. But it was just about information. I just didn't have enough information. And it's sad that, people who had the information that I did not have used that against me. And that was just like, that was the foundation of how I started life. I was working. And, the thing is, how I came, I'm not even supposed to just get right to work. I'm supposed to go through a whole process, right? But when I came and I started to discover what the process was like, I realized that in order for me to even go through the process, I'm going to need to fund the process. So that's why I had to find me something to do. So I always had something to do for money, and it was always something that was legal. Maybe very stressful, but I always try to keep something, keep a job. Like I've done construction, I've done painting, I've done a lot of things that I didn't even do in Nigeria. But at the end of the day, I'm happy that I had all of this experience because these are things that I never thought that I would do. So I learned a lot just from my work experience. Like when I was a child in Nigeria, it was a normal thing to farm. We always farm. My mom always gave us seeds and say, go plant the seeds. And when we plant the seeds, in a couple of days, everything just sprouts. That was what I was used to. But so when I came here, I had to go back to that because going back to that just helped me. It helped me through my healing process when I started to plant seeds and see that it's the same me. It's just about how I apply myself. Because uh okay, let me try to put everything in timelines. Okay, I came in 2016. Okay, let me make it simple. I came in 2016 and I was supposed to immediately one of the things that I had access to do immediately was studying. I could go to school because I was already studying computer sciences in Nigeria. It's just when the opportunity came for this, I felt like this was more important than anything else. So I took the opportunity and I came. So I was supposed to go right to studying. So I started the whole process to go to college and continue my studies. And I went through a whole lot, you know, and the support that I thought that I could get from my uncle and, just the people around me, I did not get that support. But that's part of the lessons that I learned, because I learned that, if I knew better, then I could have made all of my moves, at least most of my moves, by myself and not even have to depend on anyone. So that was one of the things that I learned from just that early stage of coming here and wanting to go to school, and realizing that there was so much roadblocks affecting that, especially finances. And so that's how I got back to work, and just I became focused more on working than anything else, because I was starting to learn the country. And I realized that, you have to get it. You have to get it, like they say, out the mud. You have to get it by any means. So I realized that I had to be the one fully responsible for myself. When it was time to get me a car, I had to work hard enough for it, because before a car, I could only take the train. And I had an experience on the train where, I had my iPad. This was like my first month. I had my iPad. I was on the train, and, there was a brother sitting next to me, and I was thinking, I had $5 in my pocket, and I was thinking to myself, like, I wonder if I tell this brother, hey, I want to give you this $5, because I felt like he was hungry. But I was thinking within myself, if I tell him, hey, I want to give you this $5, is that going to make him upset? Because I was still new, and everything that my uncle had told me was just a fear based. Like, oh, don't talk to nobody, because everything was just fear based. You couldn't roll down the window. You couldn't do a lot of things, because because that, I guess, when he came in, that's how he was treated. Like a lot of people, there was a lot of restrictions. So I was going through that too. So it was hard for me to even speak to people. But that was the first time I was going to speak to someone, and I was going to offer him the money that I had for some reason. But I was, skeptical. I don't know how he's going to respond, what his response will be. So I was still thinking about this. And then the train came to a stop. And when the train came to a stop, he grabbed my iPad and ran out the ran out the door. And it was like a dream. I was just thinking about helping out, and this is what I'm going through. And so I held him, like, casually, like, hey, you got my iPad. Is there a problem? And then he shook my hand off and kept running. So I kept running after him. And as I was running after him, I realized something. Nobody, nobody wanted to get involved in what was going on. Like, there were lots of people around, and everybody saw me chasing after him and saying, hey, stop him, he's got my iPad. And nobody wanted to do nothing. But I realized he was just doing a runaround to get back into the train, so the train would get moving and I would not be able to get back on it. But I don't know where this other dude came from. He was riding a bike and just jumped off his bike and, started to help with the situation. And I was able to get back my iPad. But that was like one of my first encounters just with people that I did not know. And so when I got back home and I told my uncle what happened, he was like, why would you even try to chase him? Because you don't know if he had, a weapon. So the next time it's best to just let the property go. And, I was just like, you know what? Maybe I could have just let him keep it. Maybe he needed it more than I did. But, that was just, I couldn't do anything about the situation. It was past. But, I learned from that, because I learned that next time when I have an urge to help someone, I just have to help that person, because there was an urge within me, say, give this person the $5 that you have. And I could have done that, and I wouldn't even have to chase him for the iPad, because that would have changed the outcome of that situation. So I started to realize from that time, because that was 3 months into my stay in America. When I had that experience, I came out of the shell of not wanting to speak to no one just because of what my uncle has said. And when I felt the urge within me, when I felt something in my spirit say, speak to this person, help this person out, I helped, and I became that kind of person. If I see a lady struggling with a heavy load, I don't even ask, like, do you need help? I just go there and I help. And so that was something that I learned for myself here. But that came from all of that type of experiences that I had. And then also living with my uncle, I realized that, like I said, he's a great guy. I've known him for a long time. This is somebody who taught me in school back in Nigeria. So he's a great guy, but I guess, coming over here, the situations affected him just like the situation could affect anybody else, even me. I felt like there were times where I was going through so much that, I couldn't even remember what my morals were anymore because I was more concerned about just surviving. And that made me realize that is the state of so many people
Yes.
in
Yes.
yeah, just really all over the world. Really, it's just that right now I'm in America. I can speak on America and say, before I left Nigeria, I used to refer to people here as my distant relatives. I learned that from Nas and Damian Marley. They had an album called Distant Relatives. And so I always refer to people here as my distant relatives. And then I realized now that I'm here, my distant relatives will be the people that I live back home.
Yes.
So it's just a distance, but we're still related. We're all, we're all related. And I realized that, all of the struggle, the culture might be different, but the struggle is the same.
Yes. Yes.
And a
Doesn't
lot
matter
of
what your ethnicity is. It doesn't matter what your culture is. It doesn't matter what your race is. It's all the same, man. We're all the same at the, you know?
yes, it took me a while to get to that with what you just said now, because I went through a lot of teachings. And I also want to quickly say that I started to learn a lot to come on YouTube and, watch people who had all of this knowledge when I came here. It became very important for me to seek after knowledge because I realized there were a lot of ways uh, uh, people get divided against each other.
Yes.
And one of the ways to get through that divide is to learn. Once you know more about what's happening on the other side, you realize that, okay, it's not as different as I used to think. So all of my struggles really helped me to realize that there might be a difference. Like I said, there might be a difference in the culture, but the struggle is the same. And when you look at that, it's like it might be the same route that we all have to take when it comes to getting the solution to whatever problems that we have. And I learned about healing. Healing is still a new word to me because when I realized everything that I've been through, all the trauma that I probably could have accumulated, I wanted a way forward from everything. And I was like, okay, what do I do? And that's when I learned about healing. And I learned about how you can actually go through a process to heal yourself from everything that you're going through. And so I would say that I'm still in that process. I'm still going through the healing process. And but in the process of healing, I realized that it's still like the learning never ends.
Sure.
From every new experience that I have, I realize, oh, there's something that I need to work on, like self-awareness. It's like self-awareness can never be enough because you can think that you are self-aware until something skips by you without you catching it and you realize, okay, there's much more attention that I need to pay to myself and to my environment. And I went through relationships as well, and I'm grateful for for the relationships that I had because my eyes became more open. I got to learn more. When I thought that I was getting to a relationship, I need to know more about my partner. But I realized that the more I was trying to learn about my partner, I was actually trying to learn about myself.
Yes.
So so that was a great thing for me that I had the opportunity to go into relationships. That was the biggest eye opener for me. There were times that I felt like, in order for me to really grow, I must be by myself. But there are phases to growth. From my knowledge now, there are
Yes.
phases where you need people because the what you thought you have achieved, it's somebody else who might make you understand that you haven't really achieved that yet. So sometimes in my growth process, I realize there are times where I need to be around people. I need to connect with people. There are times I realize that I need to be alone. But I come to find out that it's a matter of balance. You cannot just completely isolate yourself in the name of growth. Neither can you just throw yourself to people in the name of growth.
Yes.
It's just a matter of balance. And I also want to say that before I left Nigeria, I was very heavy on religion. But when I came here, uh, I realized that a huge part of religion is being judgmental. So I had to try to break free from that let me put it like this, the cage of judgments, because it's like a lot of us, we go through um, uh, times in our lives where we get judged a lot. And one thing that anybody can do when you get judged a lot is to carry that, carry on. Let me just put it that way: carry on the tradition. And you find out that you are that kind of person. When you meet people, even the people you love, you find out that you are very, very judgmental. Even up, not even to a point where you are actually looking to help somebody. You're just trying to keep telling somebody that, oh, you're not even where you're trying to get to. You're not good enough. And I realized that if you really want to help somebody, you would have to separate judgment from just providing information. Like my spouse, sometimes she could tell me, hey, you know, do you know that for the past 3 days you've been eating a lot? You've been eating a lot more than you normally do. And and I realized that's not even judgment. That's just she's just telling me her observation.
Yes.
So there are other ways that she could say that would make me feel like, hey, are you angry with me now? But it's just about how you put it, and then it becomes a difference between you're just trying to help somebody by providing information that you have, compared to somebody else trying to put somebody down. So I realized that a lot of that aspect of being judgmental actually came from religion. Just from my experience, somebody else could say that I'm wrong, but I realized that's where it came from. Because like in our churches in Nigeria, there's a lot of strictness. It's a lot of strict. I don't even know how to explain it. Like the pastor could be, the pastor could treat a member like a slave, really, and everybody would support that because he's the pastor. But that was just something where I had to get out of that environment to realize that that is not actually right. It's something about leadership where when you are a leader, everybody is supposed to treat you like you are the God that everybody serves and worships. And I never really understood that, but I just carried on with it because I went to church, and I enjoyed being in church. And I realized somewhere further down the line that a lot of the things that I enjoy about, being in fellowship with other people, you can actually enjoy it without suffering all of those other things, like without being, all everything that people that I suffered actually in the church setting. I realized that I could actually enjoy the fellowship without the suffering, because I remember even in my family, despite the fact that we all went to church, we always prayed as a family. So outside of us, going to church, we always prayed together. And I realized that when we prayed together, there was a deeper and a stronger bond between us as a family compared to when we went to church. It's like when we stayed at home and prayed, like, okay, let's say if the family was going through a challenge, everybody within the family was already aware of that challenge. So when we pray together, we pray about what challenges the family is going through. So I realized that there was also that there will always be an importance to fellowshipping with one another, not necessarily based on a religion, just the fact that if everybody comes together and they have like minds, and we just for the sake of fellowship, we can actually feed each other spiritually and mentally without going through the suffering and everything else that was attached to religion, as I know it to be. Like to this day, you could look up my country, and you could look up all of Africa, and you see that there are pastors still taking advantage of people in the name of all of that now. And I really, that's one of the,
That happens here in America too a lot.
you see, I'm glad that you could give me that information, because I'm not too sure. I only think that, oh, it's a Nigerian thing, but I guess
No,
it's
it's a
beyond.
global thing. It's a
I'm glad
global greed thing.
you say it's a greed thing.
It's a global greed thing, because here in America, you have these pastors, mega pastors, that are almost billionaires. They have so much in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and their
Yes.
people are broke.
And they're still telling their people, oh, you got to pay your tithes and offering. Oh, we got this special offering you got to give. And they're driving around in Mercedes Benz and Lexuses and have their own private jets and live in $50 million homes. And you know what I mean? And the people are broke, living on welfare, living in the projects. And these pastors have these houses just as big as their church. You know what I mean?
Wow. And people can't even stay in those churches if they needed to. You know, so yes, I'm glad that you were able to give me that information. So the deeper I get with it, the more I realize that we're all one and it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And it's like we have to share knowledge on what we go through so everybody else who do not know enough of what we know can get to know. I've always thought, when I heard people say the game is to be sold, not told, ever since I was very young, I used to say, no, but if you just tell it, then you wouldn't have to sell it. Why would you want to sell it when you can tell it and everybody can have the info? So I've always been the type of person who I always wanted to share whatever knowledge that I have. The next person has to know it. Like if it's something that would be helpful, I want to share it. I want the people to know. And that's the main reason why I made music, why I started out making music from a very young age until this day I still do, is because I realized that the reason why I wanted to make music from the beginning was I felt like everything that I want to say to people, every information that I want to share with people, I have to make it entertaining for people to even accept it. People don't even want to hear the average person does not want to hear what's good for them, really. From my experience, the average person does not want to hear it if you're not talking about money. And I understand it because money is, important if you want to, live. But then I realized that when it comes to sharing very important information, if I don't make it very pleasing to the people, they're not going to take it. And I used to have this experience from way back in the day in Nigeria, which is why I started going to church. Let me quickly say, this is how I started going to church. I lived in a neighborhood where there were a lot of problems. What is called gang violence in America, it was going on back there, but we just didn't call it gang violence. We call it cultism. Because we say, if you belong to a gang, we say, oh, he has joined a cult. That's just what we called it. But it's the same thing. It took for me to watch movies like Menace to Society. When I watched Menace to Society, I was like, oh, wow, this is the same thing going on here. Young people having access to weapons and they're killing each other, over colors and stuff like that. So when I found out that this situation was ravaging my community, and also there was a lot of problems with teenage pregnancy in my community, and I saw a lot of babies growing into a system that they knew nothing about. So this is the reason why I went to church, because I was like, if I want to go and start talking to people, they don't even want to hear what I have to say. So let me go join a group that can support me. So that's why I joined the church, because everybody had to be a part of a group. That's the same reason a lot of people got into the cult and, the gangs in Nigeria, because they felt like they were alone. And I felt the same way, but I felt like I was alone with a message. And how do I get the message across? So I joined the church. And what I was doing back in the day, I was bringing the pastor to my neighborhood. Like, please come talk to these people. Come preach to these people. Whatever you can tell them to help them do better, just tell them. That's what it was. But then when I started to get success with that, I started to bring people to the church. Like me and my younger brother, we packed out the church because we were happy to see people come together. That's what it was for us. We wanted to bring the people together. But when we brought the people, the people always got chased away with one thing, with money. These people are already poor. I lived in one of the poorest neighborhoods in the southern part of Nigeria. Like, that is Edo State, Benin City. If you Google Edo State, Benin City, it is still what it's always been. It's the slums. So it's like, how can you get people from the slums to go to church and you want them to pay tithes and offerings and everything? So every time we packed out the church, it became empty again, because once the pastor holds the mic to speak, the pastor is talking about money and the people don't want to hear that. So I just wanted to give a brief history of that was how I actually went to church, because I wanted to bring change in my community. It wasn't really about, the teachings. It was about the hope, the fact that you could bring some inspiration to the people. You could motivate the people to do much better than what they already know. So that was all. So I realized that when I went back in my thoughts, I realized that it was not even about that for me. It wasn't about religion. It was about the change that I wanted to bring to my community. And so, and that's those are the basics of my experience in Nigeria. I realized that everything is quite similar. You go to school if your parents can afford it. If your parents cannot afford it, you learn a trade or you go to the farms. A lot of people did well just by farming. But the thing is, after a while, farming just wasn't the focus anymore because of the industrial revolution. People wanted to travel to the cities. People wanted to drive cars. They didn't want to plant seeds anymore. But when I started to plant seeds again in America, which was just 2 years ago, I realized that I remember calling my brother and I was like, hey, if you can still go back to farming again, please do that, because it's very therapeutic. It made me feel like, yeah, please go ahead.
No, it is very therapeutic. We have like 5 minutes left.
Okay.
And so in 4 minutes, because I want you to talk about how people can find you on your own YouTube channel and stuff.
Okay.
So what would you want to share with the people to give them hope, to give them inspiration or whatever in the next 4 minutes?
Okay. Well, I want to say one thing that everybody needs to know is that we are one. A lot of people don't really believe that, but from my experience, you just have to know that would help you in how you treat one another. I say treat everybody the best way that you can, because you never know what the next man is going through. So the best that you can, treat everybody the best that you can, and just know that the person next to you is probably going through the same thing as you. The person needs to go through a healing process. The person needs some new information on what they need to do with their lives. So whatever you have that you can share, that is not a problem to share, please share, because it comes back to you in ways that you don't realize. And that's basically it. If we can treat each other better, that's how the world improves, as far as I know. So I just wanted to say that to people. And when you listen to my music, it's the same thing I talk about in the songs. I just try to make it more entertaining, but it's the same thing that I'm saying. And that's why I started out my YouTube channel as well.
Okay. So where can everybody find you on YouTube? What's your YouTube name?
Bronze Jfkay. So Bronze. That's Bronze space and Jfkay.
Okay.
All of that has a meaning, but for now, that's just how I can be found.
Cool. Awesome. So is there anything else you'd like to say while you have the mic next 2 minutes?
I must say that I appreciate what you have done for me. I remember the first time I reached out to you, it was because the message that you were giving out that day on your live resonated so much with me. That's why I make the comment and I said, I really want to be able to talk to people and share my experience and hope people can learn from that. And you responded and said, hey, send me an email. And I did. And eventually I thought you weren't going to do this anymore. So, but I'm glad you still did it. You didn't have to do this, but you're doing it. And I'm so appreciative of this. Even my spouse, I told her about it. She was like, I'm glad that you got that type of opportunity. This is what it's about, people working together and connecting with one another. So make the best of it, and make sure you appreciate what he's done for you. So I really thank you. I cannot thank you enough for doing this for me, because I've had the opportunity to talk like this on my channel, but it's like I was never able to. Maybe I needed to do it here before I could do it properly. So thank you very much.
And hey, bro, I just want to say thank you, just for your journey. As I sat here and I listened to you, you could have become so bitter, after you got here to America and you saw how messed up America was. After you saw how messed up so many people were, you know what I mean? And how you were treated, you know what I mean? And you shared with me earlier some of the financial things that you've gone through, and you could have become a victim. And it's like, man, this place is just a bunch of crooks. and nobody's nice and nobody's good people. And man, it's just a bunch of gangsters and thugs and criminals, and you know what I mean? But you stayed positive. You know, you stayed positive and you still remain positive. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate that, because it's hard for Americans that's been born and raised here, you know, to do something positive with their life, let alone for somebody to come from another country, totally different culture, have to get reacclimated, relearn the whole game, and still be positive, even though you've gone through all the hell that you did. You know what I mean? You could have gave up and said, like, forget America, I'm going back home. You know, this is a place with a bunch of crooks and thieves and murderers, you know, but you stay positive. And so I appreciate that, and I commend you on your growth and development as well, brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cool?
Yes.
Bless you, brother.
Same here, man. I look forward to more. Yeah.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right.
Hey family, we're going to change the world, one person, one heart, and one mind at a time. We have to be the bridge that takes people from their darkness, their pain, their trauma, and ignorance to a place of peace, love, joy, and gratitude. Check out my website, ElijahAmmi.com. I love you guys. Happy healing.